Hi, my name is Yvonne Felix. I'm the Executive Director of Center 3, an inclusive charitable not-for-profit that focuses on art in the center of community. We are very pleased to partner with VibraFusionLab for the Haptic Horizons Residency, where we focused on the integration of technology with artists so that they could expand on their discipline.
Hi, I'm Jim Ruxton, a media artist based in Hamilton, Ontario, and I'm with VibraFusionLab, and we're collaborating with Center 3 here in Hamilton. So VibraFusionLab is an organization which uses technology to make art more accessible. So we do a lot of work with the deaf and disabled. And today I'm going to talk to you about a piece called Haptic Voices. And Haptic Voices is a Canada Council funded project, which we are very excited about. This project came about during the pandemic when people weren't necessarily able to get together to see works or to interact with works. So haptic is something that we refer to, it's kind of a technical term, but it means responding to touch, or touch is activated. Behind me, you can see what are called transducers. And these transducers take sound, just audio that you listen to on the internet, and then turn that into vibration so that when you're standing up against these, you can actually feel the vibration that the sound creates. And for this piece, we commissioned 3 different works, but when you touch the screen, you can have sound play through the piece. One of the unique things about this is each transducer is a separate channel, so a separate channel of audio. A composer can send, say, a drum through this transducer, a violin through this transducer, an oboe through another one. So a really interesting thing about it is you can move the sound around the space behind your back. So the idea is that you can just select one of these three pieces by touching it, and you can control the intensity of that vibration. And another really interesting thing about this is we can change the position. So these are all adjustable. These can be moved up and down or sideways, so to conform to different body heights and shapes and so on. So one of the really unique features of Haptic Voices is it can be controlled remotely. So anyone can go to the website hapticvoices.com, and using the microphone on their computer, they can send the sound into the wall. So I could be standing here and somebody in Rio de Janeiro could be sending sounds onto the back of my body through the internet. And we know whether somebody is on the other end sending something because we have a little light on the iPad here that will blink when there's somebody sending something in remotely. It's really exciting when that light comes on, you see somebody sending sound in and you can lean up against it and feel their voice from around the world.
This was really momentous for me. I'm a wheelchair user with paralysis from the chest down. So when I experienced powerful vibrational sensations in my whole body, which is unusual, I was super excited because that opened up the artworks in a whole new way for me. So this is what I think of when addressing the question of how the new vibrational and tactile technologies VibraFusion works with will challenge and expand how audiences experience artworks and how artists make them.
Yeah. And I think what's been interesting just for me sort of observing is that when we think of deafness and experiencing vibration as a way of understanding sound or your environment in some respects, for you it's been a different experience. Vibration for you has been about, as you say, proprioception and discovering your body in new ways.
Let's try it again. Yeah, and this is my first time, so.
I'm nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous.
We're all nervous. Yeah, and thinking again of vibration as communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think with David's history, raising two deaf children and giving up his practice to do that, that whole experience of his life kind of influenced what impact he wanted to create in his own artwork and with VibraFusionLab. Seeing the amount of collaboration he's done with other artists has really been impactful, I think, seeing that from an outside perspective and actually being involved in it as an artist, working with him. And also just this technology has not been around for very long, and he's kind of brought it into the spotlight with over the years since VibraFusionLab has been around.
I think his impact has been far ranging. And artists who come into contact with David through maybe a single project will learn a tremendous amount, because David and Jim are extremely knowledgeable and very good teachers. And very good at mentoring, and they know what that means. And so someone who will interact with them once will continue, and I think go on to keep access as an important part of their practice. What I experienced as an artist and learned from David Bobier, Jim Ruxton, and the other residency artists could not have happened outside of that program. I think VibraFusionLab is a unique organization at the forefront of the exciting work we as cultural creators can do, which is to make artworks more widely accessible and which center deaf and disabled people as makers and as audiences. I saw this at work in the practices of the other artists and in the ideas they brought into our discussions. Within that incredibly supportive environment, I was energized to expand my own practice in these directions.
This video is for VibraFusionLab, or VFL. And I'm reflecting back to the Haptic Horizons residency in October of 2024. Today is June 11th, 2025. Hi, my name is Connor Yuzuenko Martin, and this is my sign name. Your first question is, in what ways do you think emerging technologies will challenge or expand the boundaries of contemporary art practice? So, reflecting on that question, I think that new technologies like advanced software, including AI and other automated systems, that when given a prompt, say if the artist is struggling to come up with ideas, it can not create new ideas, but it can generate and develop ideas based on the artist's prompt. Should be used with caution, though. But it can, at the same time, be a powerful tool, especially for deaf and disabled people and others who may not have had access to the resources like education, learning, skills development in traditional spaces. This automation can provide a powerful advantage, but to be used in balance, I think. This tool can enable a single individual to produce entire performances, which can be transformative. but it also runs the risk of reinforcing isolation and community dissolution, which are already under attack where society has not provided accessibility in public spaces. Technology alone is not the solution. How we use it as a society is where the real work emerges. Second question, what was the highlight of the residency? A really impactful moment for me was when I invited a deaf artist to come and perform one of her traditional cultural Oneida dances. I asked her if she would perform her dance on a platform with a contact mic attached to underneath to record her footsteps. While she performed, I translated her dance steps into light by uploading the recording into pre-data, connecting sounds from her steps, which became flashing colored lights. I assigned different values to the sounds depending on the frequency. Low frequency would be a red light, while, for example, maybe the high frequency would become green and more colored lights in between. When I hit play for her to watch the light show, while she also simultaneously was feeling the vibrations by standing on the platform, it was an absolute wow moment for her to see her art in this way. It reframed her perspective on her dance steps, realizing that one step was powerful while another was gentle, and how each movement had meaning and intent, and how each movement was connected to the why. This experience opened up a flood of creative ideas for her. It's amazing that in this short, rough, simple demo, how quickly she recontextualized her body and performance. I believe that as I develop this even more, it will be interesting and also powerful for deaf artists. I really believe that. Third question, how did the residency impact your artistic practice? It really was more a contemplative residency than a creative one. I sat with myself a lot, reflecting, especially on my own creative limitations. The residency helped me to settle and reflect on my endless ideas and the pressure to create content, often when it required expertise, which I didn't yet have, the stress of constantly learning. Then I thought, wait a minute, I'm surrounded by peers, by experts, both deaf and hearing, all of whom contribute collaboratively. It's fine to take your idea, put it out there and bounce it off each other, garner other views in order to take off from there. It's completely fine to throw out ideas there and support others too. I realized I didn't have to do everything on my own. Working with others is okay. It was great to have this group of artists, but we didn't always intermix that often. We worked in parallel more than collaboratively, which did feel isolating, and that's why it's better to have partners. After the residency, that's exactly what I did when I got back home.
Hi, my name is Salima Panjani, and I'm an artist based in Montreal. I had a chance to take part in the Haptic Horizons residency last November in Hamilton with VibraFusionLab. And it was a really special experience because it not only provided a slow time to connect with other artists interested in creating multisensory work, but it also gave me a chance to learn new things like how to use a hydrophone and to learn more about coding using pure data, and to be in an environment which invited like slow connections and really personalized advice on our own individual projects. I would say that the highlight of the residency was that I learned how to use a hydrophone, and that's been really influential in my practice because I find that it gives me more tools to listen deeply to the environment, but to also invite other people to listen with me. And that's been something that's really been integrated into my practice. I bought my own hydrophone after the residency, and I've fallen very much in love with it. When I think about technology, like emerging technologies, and their applications in the contemporary art world, something that I love about using VibraTactile is that it invites people to stay. It invites people to feel. It invites people to play. It invites people to listen using their bodies. And that's something that's not often integrated into contemporary artworks. There's always kind of this hierarchical separation between viewer and the art. And I believe that using VibraTactile technologies not only creates more accessibility in terms of expanding sound past the audible, it also gives people a chance to feel like they can belong in an art space, that art's something that's touchable, and that they're welcome to stay and play. And that's something that I really feel we need right now as the world starts to feel more and more disconnected, and to have these environments that invite connection, slowness, staying, and taking art off the walls is always, in my opinion, something worth investing in. In terms of another highlight for me during the residency was to actually get feedback from deaf folks about how VibraTactile can be made more accessible. Marcia at Ireland and Dominic Ireland shared their experiences using VibraTactile technology and gave some really good feedback, like having a sort of vocabulary for what exactly is vibrating. Just having something vibrate may not necessarily make it accessible, but how can we work harder as hearing artists as well to be more transparent of like what exactly is being felt. And so that's something I'm really excited to implement in an upcoming exhibition, is to not only have just like random vibrations, but to have maybe, you know, visuals that go along with them that explain what they are and what people are feeling. And so that was a really beautiful experience to actually get some critical feedback on how to work more in collaboration with deaf folks in developing VibraTactile works.
And what was the residency impact in your artistic practice?
I think the impact of the residency was really considering what Dominic and Marcia Ireland mentioned when it came to not assuming that just because something vibrates means it's interesting for deaf folks, and that it's important for us as artists using VibraTactile to really put effort into creating like a sort of vibe glossary or like a vibrational vocabulary to go along with the works. The other thing that was really impactful was to develop a hydrophone practice. I fell madly in love with hydrophoning, and just to have that space to also do my own individual exploration was really important and rare and a luxury in these kind of residencies. And I felt like the combination of like being with a group and having my own individual time to explore with mentorship and technical support was really special. And I've integrated hydrophone recordings into my practice as well as my relational practice, and inviting people to listen with me since then.